Welcome to Dr. Roger and Friends, the bright side of longevity, hosted by 3 Ps in a podcast, Doc Roger, Teresa, and Danielle. Thanks for joining us for coffee and conversation. Welcome back for part 2 of this 2-part episode, Senior Living in the Pandemic, The Stuff of Heroes, where we're joined by Peconic Landing CEO Bob Syron and COO Greg Garrett as we continue our discussion on their journey and learnings from the start of the COVID pandemic to their success on the other side.
You know, I think something we haven't emphasized enough here is pre-COVID. The fact that Peconic Landing is among the best of the best in the country and probably beyond, and certainly is a thought leader in our network and beyond. And so I just want to be sure that that baseline is known by everybody. I think we know that, but everybody doesn't know that. And so many awards, best practices established. Roger already spoke to the leadership, but I just want to set that in place so that everyone understands that fully. And then a sort of a next part to that is you took a lot of action. It was decisive. It was immediate. And no doubt then there was this ripple effect because you are established as a thought leader in the industry for all communities, at least in the US. What was that ripple effect and how did your leadership kind of influence the rest of the country?
Well, it's interesting because, I know a lot of people in the country and people would call us and ask for us for information. Greg got a lot of phone calls because the nursing homes wanted to know how he was handling it. So we shared a lot of information. You know, the CCRCs in New York State, there's only 12 of us, are much closer now. We have bi-weekly calls and we're sharing how we're working and we're sharing everything together. We've never been closer. We're not in competition and we're working well together. And a CCRC in upstate New York said that because that we were so open and free with the information we gave them, we helped all of them prepare before it ever hit them. So, we've always had a philosophy that, we're in the business of serving seniors and no matter where they live, whether they're coming here to visit or in a greater community. So, we're a mission-based organization. And she gave us a really nice compliment that we prepared them because we shared everything that was going on with us and all the information and policies. I emailed our policies out many times to other providers just because, how are you handling this or that? And people were thankful for it.
And those comments were echoed by many other communities. And they felt that they were able to they even said that they took action and made unpopular decisions probably quicker than they would have because of our experience and the fact that we were willing to share that with them. But I also, as Bob mentioned, we had many nursing homes on Long Island start to get hit with waves, and they would call us to discuss treatment options, discuss how we were handling things. And the one thing, just to back up a little bit that I'd like to mention about, the media is, it was unfortunate the way senior living was handled in general. Our hospital employees were heroes. We were branded as villains. And we care for people for their end of life, and we care for them for a long time. We develop relationships, and we take care of the whole person. I don't want to diminish hospital folks, but you go into the hospital for a couple of days, you go home or you don't. There isn't that connection. They would stand out in front of hospitals showing survivors, but would never report that we had over a dozen survivors of COVID. And these are people who were the target of this virus. They were the most vulnerable, and they survived under our care. No one wanted to tell that story.
That's an important part. I have a degree in public health and senior living, congregate living with the age group. They were absolutely the most dangerous and risky situation, at least probably at the very top there, if not the top. And so that is something that really wasn't taken into consideration when you compare numbers and that sort of thing. So I would like to reiterate what Greg just said.
And unfortunately, in our state, we were required to take COVID patients back from the hospital. And that led to unfortunate situations. I won't go any further into that, but we had no choice. We had to take folks back that were positive with the most frail population for this virus. So, we had to battle that front as well. But again, I think the CCRCs pulled close together once we got hit. And we had a very supportive person in the health department who oversees this for CCRCs, and he was actually deployed to Westchester County, managing a crisis center there. So we had support from different people. Our senator is going to win our senator is going to win our Older Americans Champion Award this year because he helped us get the vaccine to Peconic Landing and to the east end of Long Island, because the closest vaccination site the state expected us to go to was an hour and a half away. So it made no sense. I mean, it was not rolled out properly. We can go back and take a look at the federal and state failures, but that's not what we want to focus on. The simple fact is this: what we really did is we focused on our employees. And the key, I think one of the keys to Peconic Landing not having a second wave here is we believed that testing was the key. Greg and I sat in my office and we said, testing is the key to stopping this virus spread. So we found a lab in Atlanta, Georgia, which was trying to get approved in New York State. And I used all of our political clout that I could and got Wadsworth Lab, that approves labs for New York State, to approve them. And we had complete access to testing when other folks didn't have it. So what we did is we rolled out the testing to our employees and found out we had like 30 asymptomatic employees here that had COVID. So we put them out. We put them out on COVID pay. We put all of our folks out. But can you imagine if we had not identified that with testing, how the spread would have been across this campus? So we were fortunate enough, again, to really push hard to, find something that would help us stop the spread, and it was testing. So we got into testing very early, but we got testing for everybody else.
And I just want to mention, Bob said we had access when others didn't. I don't mean to correct my boss, but the reality is we had access because we went and got it. We were willing to pay for it. We didn't take the excuse that it doesn't exist. So other people had the opportunity to do the same thing. They just chose not to. And we chose to pay for that, and we chose to get it. And once we got it, people had the opportunity to engage that company. And I don't know why people made decisions to say there's no testing, we can't do it. But we were willing to do it because we knew that was within the best interest of all our members here and our team members.
Because one of our mantras is we're a can-do organization. Can't doesn't exist here.
Masterpiece provides communities with personalized content that keeps residents engaged and focused on their unique pathway to healthy longevity, no matter the circumstance or external influence. Powered by Masterpiece provides communities with the data and research needed to drive both the resident and community forward. Learn more at mymasterpieceliving.com.
I would love to ask a question about the resident morale, because when in speaking with Peconic Landing, I was just surprised because it seemed like out of all of this that the residents actually got closer together and supported each other. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll lead off very briefly and just tell you that the residents started calling each other. One of the things we did is we were very concerned about isolation, so we designated staff members to call each resident every single day and check on their well-being. We set up, shopping for them so they didn't have to leave. We took care of everything for them so they could stay here. But we were very concerned about the isolation, and we're also very concerned about the deconditioning. And, there's some takeaways we can get to in the end that we learned through COVID. But, Greg, I think you should cover this piece.
Well, what we found was we already knew we had amazing people, but they all came together as a community. Bob mentioned we had our team members calling our members daily. We had our members, particularly our masterpiece champions, calling members every single day. They had a list. They would go through, check in on people, stories of what do you need, and some of our members were more capable of getting out than others. And one of our members called and she said, well, I really like some wine. So she left a bottle of wine on her front porch. She called her back after she left. She says, well, I really like some red wine. So she went out and got her some red wine. Between that, the relationships that were developed and the feelings of connection were truly amazing. And our lifestyle reviews, we were, hesitant almost to say, do we really want to do these right now? Do we really want to know what the morale's like here at Peconic Landing? But we said, of course we do, because we can learn from this. We can learn what we can do better if this ever happens again, God forbid. And one of the things that we found that we were shocked by, but now that we look back on it, we understand why, was loneliness decreased during the pandemic here at Peconic Landing.
Amazing.
Self-reported loneliness decreased here at Peconic Landing. And that's a testament to not only the personal touches, but I know Bob mentioned that we were doing TV for well over 150 days straight with daily updates. And the relationships we do, especially myself being from the health center, I developed relationships when we started coming out. People that I've never met before knew me, wanted to talk to me about things that I talked about on TV. The relationships we were able to develop just through that. And they said, being able to know that I could turn my TV on at 1 o'clock and I was going to see you guys and I was going to get the information I needed, made me feel safe, made me feel connected. And it was a true testament to our community, our team members. While our team members were battling all sorts of things, fear of coming to work, going into the local deli with their Peconic Landing shirt on and being told to leave because everyone at Peconic Landing must have COVID. I can tell you there was dozens of stories like that where our team members were shunned at local establishments because of the fact they worked at Peconic Landing. Yet they came to work every day and they put the time in and they just did tremendous things during this time. We got to the point where I think the term is used way too much, but there's a special place in my heart for all these heroes because that's truly what they were.
And I just want to add what Greg had to say. We had employees who had second jobs lose their jobs because they worked at Peconic Landing. And we said, well, if you're working at Peconic Landing, we don't want you working here. And we said, that's fine. We'll just give you more hours. But I think the culture here has a lot to do with why we were successful in this. Number one is, being a transparent organization with the members all along, they trust us. They trusted us, and the team is longstanding. I'm going on my 18th year here. I have an outstanding team of directors, around me, and the members know us. We're out and about. Greg and I rounded the dining rooms. I think I rounded them last night. They're all out and we're having fun and we're all laughing again, and people are thanking us. But we've been, as soon as we opened back up dining, we started rounding the dining rooms because we wanted to see the residents directly. And just a lot of positive feedback.
And what else has come out of that? So we were also concerned about the morale because while we were making decisive decisions that weren't always popular, the feedback you got was from the people that weren't happy. Now that we're out and back together, the overwhelming feedback from the silent majority is, you took care of us. We felt safe. Thank you for all that you did. And honestly, I got a little welled up when I was hearing that at dinner the other night because it was so grateful to hear that, because that's not what we've been hearing. And when we look back through it, it was a handful of people that didn't like our decisions, but ultimately our community supported us.
I think that's probably the case with senior living across the country. I don't compare all senior living to you guys because, again, we think you're exceptional, but that bad news travels quickly, right? But it's well-deserved good news and good feedback.
I'm sorry that you guys were first, and as Roger said, someone has to be first, but there is no more competent community to be first. And I know you had some losses, which are horrific, but not only did you protect your residents and your team members, but then I think there's this ripple effect in the industry that you probably will never know of other people that you kept safe with your leadership. So that was just struck me, and I wanted to share those thoughts.
Tell me, what would you do differently? I can't imagine, but what would you do differently now?
If I went back and looked at it, I might have early on, we're making decisive decisions. I might have explained to the members a little bit more clearly why we were making them. I think because, but then again, you go back, we were right in the line of fire. We were in the middle of it, and we just, as Greg said, we had to be decisive, and shutting everything down was very unpopular. But I always try to be inclusive and have stakeholders at the table. It was very hard to have the residents with us as stakeholders and helping us in the decision-making process. I mean, we're the type of community where we have 4 residents on our strategic planning committee of the board. We have 3 members of they're elected to our cooperative that are members, go to our board meetings. So we're used to working with our members all the time. And
Masterpiece
that's one thing,
is driven by data and powered by content. Maximizing healthy longevity is achievable at all times with the right metrics and content, enabling informed decisions. Take the next step and learn more about what Powered by Masterpiece can do for your community and residents. Learn more at mymasterpieceliving.com.
We were making decisions, because they would have also helped us sell more the decisions we're making and why. Tremendously supportive board. Tremendously skilled.
Please join us for part 2 of this 2-part episode, Senior Living in the Pandemic, The Stuff of Heroes,
I don't know, Greg,
to learn how Peconic Landing continued to persevere and overcome challenges throughout the COVID pandemic.
The specifics are important, but I think we have learned a lot in the fact that if another pandemic occurs.
We want to continue to provide information that is valuable and reliable to our listeners.
So
we welcome your comments and suggestions for topics that are important to you. Please see the description of this episode to contact the Brightside team.
Again, that there are different decisions we can make, and with more knowledge.
You've been listening to Dr. Roger and Friends, The Bright Side of Longevity. If you like the show, please rate and review, and be sure to click to follow.
I may have gone to school for something else, but no, while going through it, and even honestly doing this and reliving it, doing this interview and reliving it's actually a little difficult, because it's something that certainly would like to put in the brain bank and not think about, but it was an opportunity to make a difference in people's lives, and not everyone gets to do that in what they do, and in a time, as I said, never experienced before. I'm happy that we were able to do our small part for the people that trusted us moving to our community.
Well, in the military, it's something like this. It's usually a war, a campaign, and there's a ribbon, a medal that goes with it, having been there. And you guys have earned the COVID medal. So, just as we said, I mean, we heard about the importance of planning and transparency, media management, sticking to the truth, supporting your team and internal communication, among other things that are so important in dealing with crises in general, pandemics in particular. We felt, the 3 of us felt that we needed to tell this story, and we're so pleased and talk about transparency. There you are again, telling us. I think this is a story that has to get out there, and that's going to be our goal, that as many people as possible can hear this, particularly within senior living, but I'm sure within public health in general, this is an important one. I can guarantee you that it is. And so the title, Stuff of Heroes, maybe healthcare got that label, but you get it from us. And I'm sure from your residents, and I'm sure from many more.
Thank you. And I would say that during this time that we utilize a lot, and you know, you mentioned in the beginning talking about us, but we appreciate our partnership, and we utilized many of the philosophies and tools and the values of Masterpiece to develop our initiatives during this time. So we have to thank you for that.
Well, we in Masterpiece are thrilled because, as I said before, we're learning from you. And thank you for saying that. And we're glad that was the situation.
I would just say that I have been a fan of you, Dr. Landry, for 20 years. And you know, when I proposed this to the directors, you know, once I introduced them to the program, I remember Greg saying, "Why wouldn't we do this?" And I'm so glad and so grateful that we have this partnership and the support. And we're a better community because we're partners with you. And just reaching out to us, appreciate it. I would say that anyone who you know served seniors during this time or took care of folks are all heroes. But there's a group of heroes here that I just really want to focus on, and that's our members. Our members trusted us and listened to us. They didn't go out. They protected themselves, and they bunkered down, and that was hard. It was a hard you know year for them before they could get back out and around. And I would say, you know, there's many heroes in this story. The members that live here, the team members who showed up every single day during this pandemic, you know, the board of trustees who were getting calls and being hammered, trusting us to go forward. You know, it just, if I had it over again, I would manage the media a little bit differently. But no, it's a great relationship we have here, and we're very grateful for it.
Well, this has been a love fest, but well deserved on your part. And there's nothing like looking at the positive side of something like this that had so much negative and so much crisis and so much pain and suffering. And thank you for bringing a lot of positive. And we want to get this word out, as I said, because I think there are lessons in here that can help, you know, millions, actually millions. I don't exaggerate when I say that. And so we're going to get it out. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Greg. Take care. Thank you for what you've done, and thank you for what you do.
Masterpiece is driven by data and powered by content. Maximizing healthy longevity is achievable at all times with the right metrics and content, enabling informed decisions. Powered by Masterpiece can support your community in the critical areas of focus that drive healthy longevity for your residents, staff, and community. Learn more at mymasterpieceliving.com. We want to continue to provide information that is valuable and reliable to our listeners. We welcome your comments and suggestions for topics that are important to you. Please see the description of this episode to contact the Brightside team. You've been listening to Dr. Roger and Friends, The Bright Side of Longevity. If you like the show, please rate and review, and be sure to click to follow.